Previously on the first episode of the Level Up series.
I am just frustrated, but I guess that if you ever see this footage, then I am proud of myself. It is now mid-December, it is around 11 and I just finished getting ready. I just had breakfast and my days have been starting really late and I just don't feel productive because of that. And there's absolutely no point in feeling bad about something that you can't change. So I am going to fix it. Starting today, I'm going to fix my morning routine. So hopefully by next month I figured out what works for me. I just have to fix it.
Your body needs this 14-day juice cleanse. Eating carbs late night makes you fat. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Fats make you fat. Egg yolks are bad for you. You need to detox regularly.
Those are all things that I heard or read when I was growing up, and I had no knowledge about food. Like, no one taught me anything basically, besides food being classified as either good or bad. For example, vegetables versus candy. And if you wanted to lose weight, then you would have to follow a completely different diet, which inherently made me believe that your current diet wasn't good enough, because why would you otherwise need to change it and not just reduce your intake? It was when I first started fitness that I learned the terms as energy balance, macros, calorie deficit, or calorie surplus, as I said in my first video. And that is when I really started figuring everything out regarding nutrition. And this started with me figuring out what my macro should be, what my intake should be, and I just did it by calculating and using formulas. But you can also use my website, it is much easier. I'll link it right here so you can have a look. You just need to fill out your stats. It's in the description box, and then your calories will just roll out. You gotta love technology. It's so much easier. I started tracking macros and just trying to find my way in what I was providing my body versus what my body needed to feel best. And what I learned is that you have to stick with something that works for you, because it is all about what makes you feel good mentally, what makes you feel good physically. And some people might thrive off keto, some people might love practicing intermittent fasting, or some people might just love a very high carb diet. That's perfectly fine, but it doesn't mean that that works for you as well. So you should always go by what makes you feel best, because that's the only way that you can stick to it the long term and get the results that you want. Because that classic thing that society tries to find ways to convince you that you need to change your diet in order to become the best version of yourself, but that's not true. You're the one who can determine what works best for you, and you should stick to whatever makes you thrive. That's it. So via trial and error, I figured out what works best for me, and I have a very simple approach when it comes to nutrition, and something that works really well for me, and I wanted to share it in this video. That being said, I have tracked macros previously for a long time, so I can estimate pretty well what macros are of different dishes, so I know what I am eating, even though I'm not currently tracking, and I don't plan on tracking in the near future. But it is knowledge that I know, that's in my head, and that I can apply whenever I just look at something, for example. The following is what I would tell my younger self, who is trying to navigate her way through life, through all the media headlines that try to make her feel like she needs to change, when in fact she doesn't. So this is my very simple, basic 3-step approach to nutrition, and I hope that it works for you as well. And if not, that's perfectly fine as well. As I said, whatever works for you, works for you. The first step is to try to stick to eating balanced meals. This means that I try to have 3 larger meals during the day that consist of fats, carbs, and protein. I notice that this helps me feel full and satisfied for longer. My first meal is usually oats. You've seen it before. It's quick and you can easily change the taste depending on the toppings that you add. Oats are also a great source of fiber, it releases energy slowly, and it is high in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. I add nuts or seeds and nut butter to add some healthy fats to the meal. Healthy meaning that it's not high in unsaturated fats, and this does not increase the risk of bad cholesterol. With the nut butters, I try finding some that only contain nuts and no added sugars or anything, just because it's not really needed in terms of taste. Now, this is also why you would have seen me add a protein shake to my breakfast. The oats as I made them are a good source of carbs and fats, but my total protein intake for this meal is a bit lower. Not necessarily a bad thing, but as I said, my first step is to stick to balanced meals. So that is where I would either supplement with a protein shake or make some eggs if I have a bit of extra time. And today I had some extra time, so I quickly whipped up some egg scramble with cabbage. And for that I'm cutting some garlic, red onion and cabbage. I heat some oil in the pan and then I add the garlic and onion. Once they are golden, I add the cabbage and some curry powder. The cabbage will turn crispy if you let it sit for a bit, and then I add 2 eggs and 1 egg white. This also increases the fats because of the oil in the pan and the yolks. The second step is to try to stick to whole foods. This means that I try to keep the bulk of my diet minimally processed. Examples are whole grains, fruits, or vegetables. This definitely does not mean that I never eat processed foods, because I do. I just try to not eat more processed things than unprocessed things, because balance, I notice that I have a better energy distribution, that I feel better, and that I look better when I keep my diet that way. And whenever I order takeaway, as I did for lunch here, I try to pick something that I love eating and that fits with my approach. So I got some avocado on toast with eggs and a green juice. Simple, and it's one of my favorites. And then the third and final step is to keep it colorful. I know that these steps sound so simple. In a TED Talk towards a science of simplicity, Harvard professor George Whitesides actually breaks down simple in 3 characteristics. It's predictable, it's accessible, and it serves as building blocks. And that is exactly what this approach to nutrition does for me. It just makes everything predictable. I don't have to think about it. It's accessible because I can stick to it anywhere or anytime, and I don't feel restricted. And it serves as building blocks. It's the foundation, and variations are endless for me. Or in the words of Steve Jobs, simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean in order to make it simple. But once you get there, you can move mountains. And then the final step is to make dinner. I'm making a sweet and sour sauce by combining some pineapple juice, sugar, rice vinegar, some soy sauce, and some ketchup. Which sounds weird, I know. And that is warming up in the pan. And then I mix some cornstarch with water to make a paste. And then I add this to the mix to get a thicker sauce. Then I'm making a salad, as you know, with a lot of colors. I cut up some mango, some paprika, cucumber, but you can basically add anything that you like. And I prepared some turkey in the meantime, and then I add the sweet and sour sauce to it. Then I'm cutting up some lettuce, and I also had some spinach left. Basically, again, anything that you feel like adding or that you have left over. And then I also added some cherry tomatoes. And then I put some potatoes in the air fryer. These are cut into fries, but I didn't add any oil or anything. It's honestly my favorite healthy hack. And then I'm also roasting some pine nuts for the healthy fats. And then I just add everything together, add a yogurt dressing, and voila, super delicious and colorful, if you ask me. That's it. And again, it doesn't have to work for you. It is just what works for me. Please try to find your way in what makes you feel best, whether that is just doing whatever you're currently doing, whether that is switching to keto, whether that is eating very high carb, practicing intermittent fasting, whatever works best for you mentally and physically, because that is what will get you the results. That is what will just enhance your life. The next episode of my Level Up series will be all about training, and for training we need some cute outfits. So that was it for the second episode of my Level Up series. Don't forget to subscribe because the next one will be all about my workouts and my training.